So the challenge of integrals is knowing what to do when. So I see that there's an even power of the sign. So that means I need to do the half angle formula. So the half angle formula is 1/2 1 minus cosine of double this angle. So that's 4x dx. Okay, so make sure you take the antiderivative. So this is just rewriting it so I can. So I get x minus 1/4 sine of 4x plus c. Again, the La Jolla theorem from here to here, right? Okay, this is a cosine to the third power. Oops. So you want to peel off a cosine to make a good du. So if I leave one of those cosines there, cosine of x dx, so let's just make sure you know that du is cosine of x dx. So that means u is sine. All right, so let's make u substitution work. Oh, it's not going to work there. So let's rewrite this as 1 minus sine squared x. So be careful that you want to go all x's to all u's. All right, so now let's go all to u's. So I have 1 minus u squared du, and then I can take the antiderivative, u minus u cubed over 3, and then put the u back in, sine of x minus 1/3 sine cubed of x plus c. All right, so this next one, I can recognize it's an e and a sine. So that means I'm going to be doing integration by parts twice. I call this type 3, where you're going to have the question in the answer again. So if you want to be able to match my answers, I would suggest you let the u equal the e guy both times. So dv, and there's no harm, no foul. You can do it the other way, but your answer is not going to match mine, that's all. So du, derivative is chain rule. And here the antiderivative would give me a 1/4 cosine of 4x. Oh, but it would be a negative, right? Derivative of cosine, negative cosine would give me a positive sign. Okay, so this is where it's important to carry this guy along. Equals. Okay, so let's do it. uv, so e to the 3x, and then negative 1/4 cosine of 4x minus b, another negative, and then a du. 3e to the 3x dx. I'm always going to suggest that you pull these numbers on the outside. So let's just carry things along. So I get a negative e to the 3x over 4, cosine of 4x. So that would be a positive 3 over 4. And then I'm just going to, sorry, my x's went away here. X and x, right? I'd have an e to the 3x cosine of 4x dx. Okay, so let's recognize this is not the same as this, but it's really similar. So that's where we're going to do the parts again on this. So I'm going to let u equal e to the 3x, keeping consistent with the u's equal the e guys. And then dv, and then v would be 1/4 sine of 4x. Sorry, it's a little messy and squished in there. And then the du would be 3e to the 3x dx. Okay, so let's carry everything along. So negative e to the 3x over 4 cosine of 4x plus. And so notice how I'm keeping that 3/4 out on the outside, right? Now I'm going to do parts on this from what I have here. So I'd have uv, so e to the 3x over 4 sine of 4x minus the integral of v du minus 1/4 sine of 4x. Oops, let's get rid of this parentheses. It's too close. Minus and then du, so 3e to the 3x dx. All right, so let's see what I've got here. So I'm just going to carry this part along. Negative e to the 3x over 4 cosine of 4x plus 3/4. And so let's see what we've got in here. So I'd have e to the 3x over 4 sine of 4x. If I multiply this 3/4 into here and here, there's a positive and a negative, so that would give me a negative 9/16 e to the 3x sine of 4x. Okay, open up the dx. So what this is equal to is this, right? So let me just carry it down here so you can see it. So this is integral of e to the 3x sine of 4x dx. Okay, so this is the same thing as this. In order for me to get this over to the other side, I'm going to need to distribute this number to both of these, right? So I'm just going to keep this there. So negative e to the 3x over 4 cosine of 4x. So I would have plus 3 e to the 3x sine of 4x, and that's all 16th. This times this would give me a minus a 27 over 64 e to the 3x sine of 4x. Okay, so now I want to add this to both sides, right? I want to add 27 over 64 of e to the 3x sine of 4x dx to both sides, right? Add, I'm just going to write it just so you really see what's happening. E to the 3x sine of 4x. Okay, so let's think about what's happening here. So if I take this and add this, this is like a 1 plus this.
What are you doing?
So this is a 64 plus a 27 over a 64 e to the 3x sine of 4x dx, right? And then I'd still have that equal to, let's think about what's left over here. I'd have these two things, right? Negative e to the 3x over 4 cosine of 4x. Oops, make some room here. And then I'd have a plus a 3 over 16 e to the 3x sine of 4x. Okay, so then my job would be to make this a fraction, right? So what do I have here? I've got 64 plus 27. 64 plus 27 is 91. So this gives me a 91 over 64. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 64 over 91. So that would give me 64 over 91 times this guy, right, of e to the 3x sine of 4x dx. Wow, that was a lot.